Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We are going to zoom in and focus in on an aftermath or an experience of a relationship with a psychopath, and that is the way that they keep somebody hooked through confusion, pain, and conflict. Any relationship that is riddled with pain, humiliation, conflict, and confusion, and a lot of the word salad, things that don't make sense or are a distortion of perception, is a very sophisticated way of psychopathic manipulation of other quote unquote normal people or non psychopathic people. Realize that this psychopath is lacking of conscience. And not, I don't say that lightly, like, oh, they don't have a conscience. I'm telling you, flat out, seriously, they lack a conscience. A conscience is an assessment of right or wrong. It is your neural network that is built in through, decades of development in the limbic brain, the brainstem, basically of societal norms. In other words, the thou shall not, the inherently built-in protection mechanisms that are part of human society. In other words, you don't kill, you don't hurt, you don't maim, you don't take advantage of. You're dealing with what is known by Dr. Robert Hare as an intra-species predator. And by a predator, we mean someone who preys on targets or susses out another for their own needs, for their own desires, for whatever it is that they're targeting that person. It could be it's very parasitic in nature. And so there is a lack of conscience within this person, which creates their need project a complete false persona with which they have others engaging in. So, for example, if you were to look at an animal of prey, and if you can think of an animal of prey, one might come up to you, most immediately you think of a lion. A lion will dominate the savannas of Africa in that wild kingdom, and they will prey on and attack and eat and devour for their own nourishment, antelope, gazelles, whatever it is that they can, take from, and be very, then you've got the vultures, the very disgusting birds of prey. And you also have the eagles, those are also birds of prey. And so they are looking for other animals to kill, to maim, to destroy, to eat. And it's with much seriousness that I say that psychopaths are like in nature, but they are intraspecies predator, and they look on the outside to be a normal and oftentimes attractive person. Attractive meaning sexually attractive. They might be very alluring, seductive. They might have a certain charisma. Again, a very intangible, not able to be touched quality about them with which you feel magnetically drawn to. And this energy oftentimes is emitting from them because of their personality, which is with a lack of conscience. And oftentimes they present as very cool, calm, collected, and undisturbed. And they are undisturbed because of the way that they perceive their environment and others in their environment, and that they are above and beyond the law because of this lack of conscience, and they are able to determine that they are different than and differently wired than most people because of their dopamine sensitivity, because oftentimes a surge of and heightened amount of testosterone, as well as lack of activity in certain areas of the brain that deal with judgment and their reward centers. There's not a lot of activity, which is then creates those empathetic and emotional congruent assessment of people, objects, things, emotions, abstracts such as freedom, liberty, love. All these sort of what we call it abstract feelings or abstract values. They're not able to understand. They do not understand. In fact, they interpret them because they have an inability to grasp onto this and have empathy. They interpret themselves as having a superior gift, basically meaning that they don't feel remorse, they don't feel regret, they don't feel a shame, they don't feel fear for manipulating and really completely pulling one over on people. In fact, they think it's quite funny. And so when people then discover them or expose them for this about them, they don't feel that they have done anything wrong. So you can't really hold them accountable. In fact, they have a complete lack of accountability in relationships. So when you try to call them out or, say this and this has happened, they're just going to give you a blank stare, like they just don't get it. And oftentimes, because they have this lack of conscience, they have a very deep inner emptiness, which is basically experienced to the psychopath as a sense of boredom. And so they will become restless, and they will, to become restless and satisfy this boredom or this really sort of lack of feeling of being alive for them, for lack of a better expression, they will go and do certain things. They might hyper decorate their house. They might be compulsive sex addicts. They might be constantly, developing businesses. They might, put it into a lot of these, other, finance or, revenue building activities. Juggling a lot of relationships with other, with people of the opposite sex, having multiple relationships, having multiple personalities, basically what is known as having a double or a triple life, where they'll, pretend to be in a relationship and be married, yet they have a number of very in-depth, intimate relationships going along the side with which they've made false promises to people, and they're stringing these other people who are non-psychopathic along, and they really have a lack of empathy, even to the people whom they target, their children, the animals that they have, their businesses. They don't have a deep emotional attachment to people. They just don't feel it. They oftentimes think that is a hindrance or a weakness to have love. In fact, psychopaths oftentimes will say that they feel asexual, meaning that they don't feel like, sexually attractive, or they don't feel that sort of connection or bond with people. But to them, it's a way to overpower and control people, and they get a sense of being alive by this. And since they don't really experience fear, they're able then to just engage in a lot of activities that most people would not engage in. And so they emit this energy about them that seems fearless. And so you feel oftentimes it's very calming or very attractive, or people get addicted to them because they see that this person is different. And we don't want to say superior. We want to say that this person who is psychopathic and lacks conscience has this energetic vibration, which is a lacking of restraint, lacking of the feelings of emotions of guilt, regret, and sort of learning. So they will be prone to repeat their same mistakes again and again, and be very, they will be very calculated in the clues and the sort of things that they do to people. They might, create a very, very false persona to the point where, they will make the bed look like they were sleeping there when they never did. Yes, honey, I was home. I was sleeping right on the couch. Don't you see the pillow? They'll plant things in the environment. They will, and so that's another very, very big thing, is that they're very big into planting things. And, you'll feel that there is something wrong, but you can't quite put a finger on it, but you feel a sense of terror, and that there's something very negative about what they're planting in the environment. It could be rugs in strange places, plants in strange places, strange types of things that don't have a flow. They don't have kind of a feeling of calm. You feel a certain paranoia. You feel a hypervigilance, that you have to, be almost like a detective and follow them and their signs and their clues, and it's this very enigmatic or very cryptic sort of connection and relationship with which they try to connect with you. So it's very different energetically than you would feel with most people, than you would feel with the guy at the grocery store, the other guy at the office, other people in your life who have not been under the guise of this person. And realize that the psychopath oftentimes will gain social acceptance through these means. In other words, the fact that this person seems to be so fearless, the fact that they're doing this and that, they're going here and there, the fact that they don't seem to be moved or distraught if people are hurt or they're late or they're not delivering things on time, or that they're ignoring people or they're not there for them and connecting in a certain way. So that frees them up to have energy and attention towards other things. And a lot of people become subconsciously attracted to this person, and yet they oftentimes, you'll hear this again and again, they can't quite put their finger on it, but there's something different about this person. And they feel like they just, magnetically want to follow this person, and they don't know why. And if you don't know why, then you are in a state of powerlessness. And a lot of people get confused, and they feel that this powerlessness is a sort of bliss or a sort of relaxation, or they're attracted to it. Especially men who have become addicted to or sussed out by this sort of cryptic type of person who is psychopathic. They oftentimes have a relief from their everyday life through this person. In other words, all their pains, all their everyday cares seem to go away. And this is, oftentimes then they will learn other information about this person and realize, I'm not the only one who is being lied to. I'm not the only one who's in a relationship with a person like this. Because they generally have more than one target who they will talk about. And it's very important because they will very oftentimes conceal. They're very, very adept at concealing and hiding their tracks. And so people then, oftentimes have a glimmer that something is wrong is off, and then have to become like an investigator trying to figure out what is wrong. And especially children of psychopaths oftentimes feel this instinctively and feel like something is wrong, but they don't have the experience or the vocabulary to articulate it. So they feel this deep woundedness or deep negation, and because this person, might laugh the fact that their needs are not taken care of, and they've been so invalidated, and they oftentimes have to figure it out through therapy, through discussion, and oftentimes other people do not know the depth of it, and until you've gone through a relationship with a psychopath and you know what it is, their brainwashing, their lack of emotional intelligence, and the way that they flip information around and have people manipulated, it's kind of like people don't know it until you've been there, sort of thing. Like, you have to have gone through it to identify it. And it is this channel here with which I want to provide a safe haven for which you can work through and process through these wounds and these hurts and this sort of depersonalization and gaslighting and the sort of flashbacks and intrusive thoughts that tend to come, through that, and work through here through the steps and the tools that we discuss here on the channel, the recovery journal, and the detachment that you need to really kind of go through, the emotional detachment from these very hurtful and destructive personality disorders, individuals which are known as narcissistic, psychopathic, or sociopathic individuals. Is peace and harmony with you here today? I hope these videos, that they do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.